All right. Welcome to the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Show. My name is John Santucci. Call me Tooch. I have got David Bearman back again to talk NFL on the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Show. Good evening, David. It's great to have you back. How are you doing?
Good to be here, Tooch. Couple more games to go. We got two this weekend, and then of course Super Bowl Sunday, and we'll call it a wrap on the NFL season.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's over already. It seems like it went by super fast, even though there was an extra week.
Yeah, once it starts, it just flies by.
It's
then
the
you have
most
a
fun.
nice spring and summer before it starts up again.
Yeah, my favorite sport probably is NFL football. And college basketball, a close second. Well, I had a blast last time you were on. We had some good convo. Want to talk about last weekend's games. We had some great games. The Dogs kind of ruled the day last weekend, except for the final game, which turned out to be one of the most exciting playoff games I've ever seen. And I've been watching football probably for 45 years, 47 years, NFL football. I want to talk about the Titans and the Bengals. Are the Bengals for real already?
I mean, I said it on this program last week. I didn't think that they'd be able to pull it off, and they did. They pretty much earned it right there. They played a better game than Tennessee, top to bottom. They're for real. They are. They're a little bit ahead of where they should be with a second-year quarterback and Jamar Chase there as a rookie wide receiver, but they're one game away from the Super Bowl. I still think Kansas City's the better team. Kansas City, when they put all their pieces together, is arguably the best team in football. Obviously, the back and forth battle with Buffalo last week could have gone either way. It's going to be a good one. I still see Kansas City coming out ahead at home. 7.5 is a lot of points. I probably wouldn't lay the 7.5 only because Cincinnati knows how to score. And every time you think, well, Cincinnati's never they haven't won a playoff game in 31 years, and they go ahead and beat Vegas. And then it's like,
Right.
All right, well, that was nice. They won. Good story. But now they get to face the number one team in Tennessee, and they go ahead and win that one. And now you're like, oh, they haven't been to an AFC championship game in 30-something years. And here they are. Now, it's a tough place to play in Arrowhead. No one ever says that on the road in Nashville is a tough one in Tennessee. Right. No one ever talks about Tennessee's home field advantage. You're going to get all of that and more with Kansas City. You're going to get a tough home crowd. You're going to get arguably the best team in football and a team who's been there before. This is their fourth consecutive AFC championship game at home. Never happened before. At home, 4 straight, where they were a little bit of a fingernail offsides from beating Tom Brady and the Patriots and going 3 years ago. Then they went and won it, and then they went and lost to Tampa. So they're really, that close to have gone to 3 straight Super Bowls, and they're likely going to win this one and go back again.
Yeah, I know you and I talked last week about how we thought the Bengals were probably a year away, and that next year, boy, it'd be nice to see what they're really capable of. And, many people criticize the Bengals for taking a wide receiver in the first round. They're like, oh, they got to build the offensive line, and perhaps Penei Sewell would have been a better pick, to protect Burrow's blind side. But, man, the Jamar Chase pick looking pretty good. That combo pretty tough to stop in any game.
It is, and to think that my team, the beloved Dolphins, could have had both. Obviously, you go back a few years and they won too much, including beating Cincinnati to not get the number 1 spot, wound up with 2 at 5. And then this year they had the 3 spot. They could have gotten Jamar Chase. They decided to trade down to 12 and then trade back up to 6. And, very happy with Jalen Waddle. But you could have had Jamar Chase. You could have had Kyle Pitts. You could have had Penei Sewell. That was a decision they made. And both receivers are really, really good, but one of them is still playing, and it's a Cincinnati duo. Florida, the Dolphins have the Alabama duo, and the Bengals have the LSU duo. It looks like that one's a little bit better right now.
Right. I love Jamar Chase coming out. He was my favorite wide receiver, even though he took a year off of college before entering the draft. But I want to talk about Mike Vrabel's decision to go for 2 in the first quarter, where in the fourth quarter, if he would have had that 1 extra point, he could have sat on. I know it looks clearer in hindsight, but I'll tell you, I would have never made that decision. I don't care if you put me 1 yard closer. I'm still kicking the extra point.
There's a lot that goes into it. You have the analytics guys out there that would tell you that, from 1 yard out versus a 35-yard field goal for an extra point. At the same time, Cincinnati had 2 field goals. Cincinnati didn't have a touchdown. So if you do kick the extra point, you have a 1-point lead. you never know how the game's going to continue to snowball after that. Teams go for 2 all the time, all over the place. But yeah, with the way the rules are, with the extra point now being as far back as it is, if you get that extra yard, you just got to run a 1-yard play and do it. Obviously, it didn't happen, but when you got Derrick Henry in your backfield, you think you can get 1 yard.
Yeah, and that's what they were thinking. 1 yard with King Henry. And I got to tell you, I'm not so sure that Dante Foreman was the more effective back in that game.
He was, and you got to understand that Henry had not played in 6 or 7 weeks and probably had some rust, and he obviously wasn't game ready in terms of full energy. You could see late in the game he was wearing down a little bit, where you're used to him running people over left and right, and he was not doing that in this game, especially late, which is where Tennessee usually wins the game in the trenches late, as everybody else gets tired and Derrick Henry's just running you over. In this case, he wasn't really all there. It seemed like he was wearing down, and he had a couple of situations late where the Titans went for it on 4th down and couldn't get it with King Henry. So injuries stink. They thought they could get him back after the bye, and he just wasn't ready. But, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I kind of thought they'd get a little bit of a jolt from getting him back and, perhaps propel him to victory. But I'll tell you that the Cincinnati defensive line was in the backfield quite a bit.
Yes.
In that game. And I'm sure Cincinnati is watching that tape. Let's talk about Green Bay and San Francisco, where Aaron Rodgers might have played his last game for the Packers. Any thoughts on where or if he's going to be back, where he might go?
I mean, if I had to project and guess, my guess is going to be retired. I say that only because I'm not sure anybody's going to give up a lot of picks for a guy who's as old as he is, 39, 40 years old. Sure. And, Aaron Rodgers is going to win back-to-back MVPs and is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But he's only won 1 Super Bowl. He's only been to 1 Super Bowl. And, he has that stigma that he can't win in the playoffs. And he had everything going for him. He had home field advantage. He had the weather and the snow. And he had a banged-up Jimmy G on the other side. And, every single year it's something different. Last year they lost to Brett Favre in Tampa Bay where they went for it on, field goal on 3rd down. And then years ago it was to San Francisco again in a blowout that was 21-0 early. So he's still under contract with Green Bay. Even if he decides not to come back to Green Bay, which a lot of it's going to depend on their salary cap situation. They're not built to sustain what they currently have, which has been 13 win seasons, 3 straight years. They're in salary cap hell. They have a lot of pending free agents. They got a lot of work to do. And as he stated, he's not interested in a rebuild. So if it looks like they're going to rebuild, he isn't going to go back. But I'm not sure any team's going to give up that many first-round picks for a guy that's as old as he is and not exactly subscribing to the Tom Brady fountain of youth formula that he has. That being said, hey, if somebody wants to make a late run and say, hey, we got an aging team that is just a quarterback away, let's take Rodgers for a 1-year rental, it's out there. I mean, the team we just talked about a minute ago, Tennessee, what was the big issue on Sunday or Saturday? I hate to say it because I love the guy, but Ryan Tannehill's not going to win you a championship. We realized that many years ago, and they've come close a few times. But if that team had Aaron Rodgers, I think they win the Super Bowl. They have Derrick Henry. They have a stellar defense, and they have the wide receiver weapons in Brown and Julio Jones. If Tennessee wants to go ahead and rent a quarterback for a year or two, that might be a team that could do it. If he doesn't get what he wants, he's also the type of guy that might just call it quits. Say, hey, I had my shots. I had the number 1 seed. I've had home field advantage. I've gone to 2 consecutive NFC championships, and then losing this year as the 1 seed. What else are you going to do? And if he doesn't find he's not going to go to a team that's rebuilding. He's not going to go to a team that's going to give up everything and not do it. It's a 1 or 2 year thing at most. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hangs it up.
Well, you make some great points. And, the Packers, after this loss, roundly criticized for drafting Jordan Love when they could have gotten an impact player opposite Devontae Adams, might have helped them, perhaps put some more points on the board. They didn't have, they went out to a quick early lead, and then the scoring kind of dried up against that great San Francisco defense.
Yeah, and every year they pinpoint something. Like last year it was the coach's decision. The year before it was not having enough weapons to compete. This year, if you look at the game, San Francisco really didn't do anything on offense. Yeah. So what it came down to is Green Bay offense did not succeed past the first drive of the game, which has been a problem in the past. But really what killed them, and each team is different, how much money and how much support they give to all three units, offense, defense, and special teams.
Yeah.
Green Bay special teams, and we've seen it all year, were horrific.
Yeah.
And everybody said all year, it didn't cost them in week 7. It didn't cost them in week 12. But come playoff time, it could cost them. Sure enough, blocked field goal, blocked punt, crappy kickoff return coverage, and you lose. And you can't win a Super Bowl when you go ahead and watch the replay of that blocked field goal at the end of the first. Everyone's talking about the punt at the end of the game, the blocked punt. I mean, the guy got like an edge of a finger on it. Happens. What are you going to do? The field goal worried me more because, quite frankly, Tooch, you and I could have blocked that. Like, the guy came uncovered.
Unblocked.
Like, unblocked. I don't know how when you're on a field goal blocking team, you got one job. It's block the guy in front of you. Like, it's not like you're running a stunt around the corner or you're going in motion. You got 9 guys lined up and you're blocking those. And one guy came right through untouched. And then you circle back to the very end of the game when the game-winning field goal, they had 10 guys on the field. Again, you got 11 guys that are going to play kick block. Like, you 11 are on. It's not like these teams rotate 30 guys in there. So something was amiss. Obviously, they're probably going to get rid of their special teams guy. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're like, I don't know what more I could have done this year. Granted, he played a terrible game.
Yep.
Just like he played a terrible game against Tampa and he played a terrible game against San Fran the year before. So he has to be better. And I don't know what it is about him in these spots. He's only won one of them and he's only been to one of them. And he's 1-4 in NFC title games with 3 losses at home. So.
Yeah, it makes some great points. Speaking of San Francisco, they get another rematch against the Rams, who they've owned recently. I forget how many straight victories San Francisco's put on the Rams. The Rams sent Tom Brady home. Who do you like, Rams and 49ers? Is Shanahan getting the better of McVay again this time?
I tell you what, I really like the Rams team. Like, I picked them over Tampa. Once I saw what and I said it on this show last week. Once I saw what they did to Arizona, I was like, if they keep playing like that, they're gonna do it, and they did it. I mean, for 3 quarters they dominated Tampa before Brady did his Brady things, and for all intents and purposes sent the game to overtime if the defense doesn't decide to not cover anybody on that last drive.
Right.
But, whereas Stephen A would say, however, San Francisco's got their number. It's not just a win here or a win there. They swept them this year. They swept them last year. They've won 5 out of 6. It seems to be a matchup issue for the Rams, whether it's the defensive line getting in there, pressuring Stafford and company. And honestly, it wasn't even Stafford last year. It was Goff. So you change the quarterback, same results. You bring in Odell Beckham, they still lost. Now, you look at Week 18, it was 17-0 Rams. So give the Niners the credit that they deserve for coming back in that game, earning a playoff spot, and now you're 1 game away from a Super Bowl. And if they continue to win and win the Super Bowl, which they're more than capable of doing, you'll look back at Week 18 when they were down 17-0. Had no business in the playoffs, but they did what they needed to do against the Rams. Now, the Rams had a playoff spot locked up. They still could have gotten a 2 seed. Instead, they fell to the 4 seed. And if Arizona had won their game in Week 17 versus Seattle, they would have won the division, and the Rams would have had to go on the road to Arizona. Not that it would have mattered. That being said, this is a matchup problem. I want no part of the 3.5 in the game. I'll probably lean and look at the total and some props. It's I like the Rams, but I can't lay 3.5. And the Niners are good, but I don't love them. So if I had to play a side, I would play the Niners plus 3.5 because they just keep winning this. But I think if you're gonna, it's a strategy to me is if you're gonna take the 3.5 in this game, with the way that they've dominated LA, I would just take the money line and plus 150 and get your 1.5 to 1 on your money because, I mean, they've dominated the series. So why take the 3.5 when you can just take them outright?
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, 49ers Rams rivalry has gone back since I was a kid. They played bitter games against each other. So it's no surprise. This will be one game I'll be watching very closely, and I know it'll be exciting and probably will come down to that close, maybe last possession field goal at the end. So last weekend, we also got what I consider probably one of the most exciting games in NFL playoff history with the Bills and Chiefs. I was on the over, and I was like a little bit worried at the end. I was like, I don't think I'm going to cash the over getting down to here, under 3 minutes, and I'm still not hit the over yet. So I think it was like 47 points. I need 8 points, and man, it finished up 72 points total, I think. And the last few minutes were so exciting with Josh Allen driving down, and then Patrick Mahomes with barely any time. And then at the very end, he had like 13 seconds to get into field goal range, and the Bills rushed 4 guys. That Mahomes has to get rid of the ball. Why not rush 2 and keep 9 defensive backs to umbrella?
It's the prevent defense that prevents you from winning. And I know people were obsessed about talking about the overtime rules, which we'll hit on. But at the end of the day, all you had to do is play 13 seconds worth of defense, and you're hosting the AFC title game. And honestly, the winner of that, we talked about it all week, the winner of that game is the best team remaining in football. That was your de facto AFC title game. It could have been your de facto Super Bowl. Because if I would have ranked the last 8 teams left, I would have had KC and Buffalo 1. Well, maybe Green Bay 1 and KC and Buffalo 2-3. But that's the way the matchups presented itself. It's the way it landed in the AFC. And you got everything and then some. And to be honest with you, I was so exhausted from the first 3 games. I said, I'm going to make it as far as I can. And then I'm going to put the headphones in and watch Ozark that had been dropped. And I couldn't get past the credits before the fireworks started in that game. And I'm like, you know what? Hit the pause button and just watch this back and forth action go. And it was phenomenal.
Well, I had to catch up too after I saw your tweet. It reminded me that wife and I just watched episode 1 and we're like, I forgot how great this show is.
It's great. You're going to enjoy it. I finished up last night with the 7 of them, or 2 nights ago.
Nice.
It's pretty good. You'll like it.
I love it. Love Marty Bird character. Great character.
No one better.
Yeah, he's such a great. His delivery and the lines are just great, and his directing, his writing, all of it's fantastic show. So the AFC Championship, we took on the Chiefs. You and the Bills and 49ers. You also touched on too. So we've run over time. I want to thank you again for coming on, man. I always have a great time. When you come on, we get some great conversation in, and hopefully you come back. Maybe we can make it a regular thing. And we'll see all of our viewers next time. Hopefully David comes back. And thanks again, David.
Thanks, Tooch.
All right. Thank you.
And I'm the team captain. He's the preview, and I'm the main attraction. Unstoppable, unconquerable.